Welcome back. My name is Dr. Baird, and today I'll be showing you 10 of the best glute exercises for lower back pain. So building strong glutes is a cornerstone to solving lower back pain in adults as they get older because it is these muscles that set the foundation for spinal alignment. But with that being said, if you're somebody that's dealing with lower back pain, you have to make sure that the exercises that you pick are not only effective at targeting this muscle group, but they're also safe, meaning that they limit impact that goes through your spine itself. And that's what I'll show you in today's exercise, how to build strength without stressing your joints. Let's go ahead and get started. The glute bridge is easily one of the safest and most effective ways to target your glutes. So let's start with a simple body weight glute bridge. To perform, you're going to lay on your back. You'll have your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. Your hands can just be out at 45. And then from there, all you're going to do is press through your feet to lift your hips all the way up into the air. And so what you should feel is a nice strong contraction in your glute muscles here, and come back down. Once you feel strong and confident with the body weight glute bridge, it's time to add some resistance. And you can do that a few ways. The first variation I'll show you is a banded glute bridge, where we're going to take one of our red rubber resistance bands, we'll lay it on the ground, and then we'll cross over in the middle. So you have a figure 8. You're going to take 2 fingers and grab the 2 circles on the inside to give you 2 loops here. Now to set this up, you're going to wrap the band around your feet. Keep your feet hip width. A lot of times when people add the band, they start to go narrow feet. Keep it hip width, wrap the band around your knees, and then from there, you're going to do the same glute bridge. And you'll feel this makes it slightly harder. It adds a little bit of resistance to your glute bridge so that you can continue to build strength without stressing your lower back. Another easy way to add resistance to the glute bridge is with weight, using a kettlebell or a dumbbell. All you're going to do is get into your glute bridge position, grab your weight, and put it directly over your hips. So don't put it up here on the abdomen. Focus right above the hips, and from there, you'll do the same thing, holding the weight in place. But this is an easy way to add more resistance. And what I like about the kettlebell over the band is that you can obviously get pretty heavy kettlebells so that you are able to add a lot of resistance to this movement so that you can strengthen those glutes even more. One thing that you'll find in some people with lower back pain is that one glute is stronger than the other, usually because of a prior injury or surgery on a certain leg. And a great way to correct this imbalance is with single leg variation. So this is the single leg glute bridge, where we're going to start on our back, the same glute bridge position, but then I'm going to lift one leg up. So in this variation, I'll just be pressing off my right. And from there, I'm going to press through my right foot to come into that glute bridge. And obviously, you'd want to do both sides, where now my left foot's down, my right foot's up, and press up. Another great glute exercise for lower back pain is the hip thrust. So to perform the hip thrust, you're going to need a bench or a box or something that you can place your back on. And from there, it's going to be similar to the glute bridge, where I'm going to have my knees bent, my feet flat on the floor, and then I'm going to press through my feet to come up into the bridge position, and then lower the hips back down. So the only thing that you're looking for here is that when you come to the top, you want your knees to be bent at 90. So you don't want them too far out, or you don't want them too close. You want a nice 90-90 position. And then just make sure that your trunk is staying in a nice straight position. So I'm really just hinging at the hips and not extending at the low back or flexing at the lower back. We're really making sure that our spine stays in a nice, good position. Give that one a try. Let me know how it goes. One of my favorite glute exercises for lower back pain is the banded hip hinge. Not only because it targets your glutes and your hamstrings, but it helps you ingrain this hip hinge patterning, which teaches you how to maintain a neutral spine when you're bending forward, which is something we do all the time throughout our normal daily routine. So to perform this, you're going to take that red rubber resistance band, grab it on each side, lay it on the ground, try to stand directly in the middle, and then come back to a standing position. The band is at your side. From there, you're going to send your hips back. So I'm reaching my hips towards the back wall. And again, I'm making sure my spine stays in that nice neutral position, so I'm not letting it round, I'm not letting it extend, and I stop right when I feel tension in the hamstrings. From there, I come back up. So there you have it. This is the banded hip hinge. So next we have the kettlebell Romanian deadlift, which is really similar to the banded hip hinge, only now I'm holding a kettlebell instead of that band. So I'm going to start with the weight in front, and I'm going to perform that same hip hinge movement where I'm sending my hips back, keeping that neutral spine, stopping when I feel tension in my hamstrings, and come back up. So again, this is another great glute exercise, but also practicing that hip hinge pattern so that you can learn how to maintain that neutral spine as you bend forward, lift things up off the floor, things like that. Another great full body exercise that really targets these glute and hamstrings is the reverse lunge. So note that I didn't say the forward lunge where you're taking a step forward. You're going to primarily target your quads. The reverse lunge targets your glutes and hamstrings. So for this one, I'm going to start at the top of my mat, take a step back, drop that knee to the floor, and then press up off my front leg to come back to that starting position. And again, if you don't quite feel comfortable being able to do this exercise, you can regress to something like a step up, which is a safer variation of the reverse lunge that will limit impact that maybe goes through your knee and your lower back as well. The squat is another full body exercise that can be used to really target your glutes and hamstrings. Like the bridge and like the lunge, there's a lot of different variations. I'll start with the body weight variation. So to perform, we're going to start with the right squat stance. For most people, it's a little bit wider than hip width, toes pointed out. From there, we're going to send our hips back and then drop our hips down. Now, to really target the glute and hamstrings, we really want to be able to sink our hips down so that our thighs are at least parallel with the ground. That's going to help you really target those glutes and hamstrings, where if we stop too shallow, you might feel it more in your quads. So if you can, really try to sink down in this movement to get those glutes and your hamstrings. Another one of my favorite glute exercises for lower back pain is the kettlebell deadlift. And this is because not only is it a glute exercise, but it's a full body strengthening exercise. And like the hip hinge, is another important movement pattern that we can use throughout our day to limit impact that goes through the spine. So to perform this one, you're going to start with the weight on the ground. I'm going to start with my feet on the outside of the kettlebell. So again, I don't want to start too far back. Then I'm reaching forward. That's going to put some stress on the spine. From there, I'm going to start with my hip hinge, send my hips back. But once I can't go any lower, then I'll bend my legs to get the rest of the way down. From there, I'm going to press through my feet to stand all the way back up. To set it down, it's the same hip hinge. Bend the knees, press through the feet, and back up. And that is the kettlebell deadlift. So there you have it, some of the best glute exercises for lower back pain. So if you are someone who is struggling with lower back pain, it's important that you choose exercises that are not only effective, but they're also safe. And a lot of times that means we just don't need to overthink it. Start with the glute bridge and work your way up from there so that you can be sure that you're able to strengthen your glutes without straining your lower back. So that's all I got for you today. Again, my name is Dr. Baird. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below.